Hey guys, welcome back to the Drone Camps Workshop. I have something super cool here today for a review. We're going to review the Zombie 8E, and this is by DHK Hobby, another awesome DHK Hobby addition to the channel. This one has a little bit different specs than the Optimus XL that we reviewed earlier. We jumped this one off a house and we bashed it all over the place on a farm, and it survived just about everything that I threw at it. Actually, nothing in the suspension broke. Everything is still just like it was on the Optimus XL as when I first bought it. Now, the Zombie has very similar suspension to the Optimus XL, almost the same exact type of parts on here for the frame, but everything is just built much higher up off the ground, and you have these really tall tires on there. I almost feel like I could interchange these tires on here. They are the exact same bolts, by the way, and drive system on each. They're both four-wheel drive, but one goes quite a bit faster than this one. This one is supposed to go around 40 miles an hour, and this one's in upwards of 50 miles an hour, mainly because it's a car style and has quite a bit higher battery capability on this one, running two S batteries in parallel, making it 4S, and this one runs 3S. But this one's not about a lot of speed. This one's mostly about being able to get places where this one can't get to. And that's where the fun really begins with the Zombie 8E, because I'm able to do a lot more off-road with this one. And that's where I have a lot of fun, because I'm able to jump hills and climb over rocks and take on big branches, all kinds of fun stuff that you can come up with. And the fact that this one has a 3 differential drive system inside it, so it really does make rock climbing a lot of fun, and you get that feeling of like you're driving some sort of rock crawler. So it has sort of a rock crawler capability to it. Really good suspension. I was doing some really high jumps with it, just like the Optimus XL. It survived everything that I threw at it. I jumped it off like the highest jumps, and I even built a jump ramp for it that sent it probably 10-15 feet in the air. And this thing landed pretty nicely. Landed down, it smacked down a couple times. One time it actually kind of stuck to one side, on the side of this, one of these springs actually stuck down, and I was able to just pop it back up. It probably happens from time to time with RC cars, but look at this frame. This frame is super rugged. Everything is already upgraded to aluminum on this chassis, which is super neat. That's what I like about DHK. It seems like you don't have to buy a lot of upgrades and mod everything to be durable. It's just already built with the aluminum upgrades on there. You've got aluminum shocks, and they actually have oil inside the shocks so that you get a real smooth suspension. Front bumper, of course, pretty standard, and you have an 80 amp brushless ESC system back here, and it's fairly waterproof. As you can see also in this review, at the end of this review, I'll show you some driving footage, some bashing around. I drove it through probably 2 to 3 inches of water, and all of this got pretty wet in here. The only thing that's probably not going to be waterproof in here would be this case right here. There is a hole right there, and I'm not sure if there's a valve inside there to stop water from getting down in this case, because your receiver is inside this. You could get a little water in there, so just keep that in mind, but you don't want to submerge this by any means. You want to maybe drive through some puddles, and that's about it. But the tires themselves feel pretty grippy. They feel a little softer than the Optimus XL tires. Those are a little harder. So this one did donuts quite well, and it doesn't flip over very easy. So in my testing, it did really, really well. Now over here on the left side, you have the battery bay. This is a 2600 milliamp hour 3S 11.1 volt LiPo battery. So since this is running on LiPo power instead of NiCad, you get a lot of power out of this motor, and the motor on here is pretty awesome. It's pretty powerful. It is a brushless motor as well. It has a huge pinion gear right up here on the very top. It's full metal, and you have really nice industrial drive system right here that is, like I said, 3-stage differential that goes up into the front and the rear to drive the wheels. Now the servo itself is also really awesome. The servo has 9 kilograms of power installed in this one. It is metal geared servo, so you want a metal gear servo when you're bashing around, so you don't break any gears up inside the servo, because that happens, you're going to lose all your power for steering. Now the only thing I had to assemble on this buggy right out of the box was just putting the wing on. All I had to do was take the charger that comes along with it too. It comes with a 3S charger that I can charge this Dean's battery with. The balance port plug just plugs right in like normal. And probably about an hour's time to charge up this 3-cell battery, not too bad. The Zombie canopy held up pretty well. This truck canopy is pretty durable out there. It didn't get hardly any scratches on it compared to all the bashing I was doing around. You can see a couple grass scratches there. And I did punch one hole through it. I hit something super hard. Obviously might have been a rock or a piece of metal out in this industrial area where I was driving it for you guys. But it got completely soaking wet, and these stickers held up in the water. They didn't come off, not even starting to peel, so their adhesive on their stickers is pretty good. Now on the bottom of it, you can look underneath here. It's barely even dirty from where I drew it through the water and the mud, which is kind of amazing, because well, there's one scratch there through the graphic, you can see that. So the graphic is able to get scratched off, but you gotta bash this thing pretty hard. And the way they did the graphic on here, there's so much stuff going on that you can barely notice some of the scratches anyway. Just kind of a cool design on there. Now let's talk about the pistol grip controller that comes along with this one. Sometimes these cheaper cars, more affordable cars, come with controllers that just don't feel good in your hands. They don't feel right at all. Sometimes they don't have a rubber grip around the wheel, the driver's wheel, but this one actually does. It has a flat spot across the bottom here, and also has full rubber grip all the way around. So that's nice when you're driving this one. It feels pretty good back and forth. It has kind of a natural feeling. Now on the very back of the transmitter is really where this one shines. It has a lot of controls for trim. You have steering trim there, dual rates, and your throttle dual rate. Now this is cool because I have kids, and when they get a little bit older, I can just turn this dial all the way back, and that's going to make this truck run really slow. I mean, this will slow it down to about 3 miles an hour, and a kid could drive this. So that's pretty nice. It also slows down the steering, makes it really mild. If you want it to go as fast, full throttle, wide open throttle for you to drive, you can turn that throttle dual rate all the way to the most right hand position. Now the one right below it here is a throttle trim. That is going to, you want to have this set to the center point so that your reverse is matched up with the forward throttle. If you get this a little bit off, sometimes reverse won't work, so keep that in mind. Also, you can switch around your servo here, your steering servo, but I would leave those set to normal, because all of a sudden you'll have, and you definitely don't want to reverse your throttle. But if you do have a situation with this one where it goes out of range, it does have a fail-safe on there. So this one will drive as far out in the range as it can get, and then when it gets out of range, it'll actually stop. So that's also pretty cool. Now this is a transmitter that requires 4 AA batteries as well. So you're gonna need 4 AA's. I've got my rechargeables in there, and that's no problem. So if they run out, this will start beeping. The transmitter will give you a beeping alarm that is getting low on battery, so you don't have a problem. Now before we go out and drive, I'm just going to give you a quick spin around look at this chassis. From the very rear, back here you can see all these, you have the standard dog bone inside there, you've got this oil suspension and all aluminum upgrades and parts back here. The wing is removable if you want to, but I keep the wing on there because it kind of keeps some of the pressure from the crashes off the chassis, and that's kind of nice that you have a tower up there. It doesn't really help for speed performance or anything like that, and these 2 pieces back here, they're not really for anything. Kind of that DHK thing they have going on there with that. And let's set it to the side. We'll show it to you from the side. Press the suspension down, it goes way down, and it's also adjustable. So if you want this to ride a little bit higher off the ground and have a little more clearance, you can adjust that on your shocks right here with these little spin wheels. You can put more pressure on them to make them more rigid if you want them to be more rigid, and you can spin them the other way and make them a little more springy if you want to. So it depends on your driving style, and that's nice that they give you that option. Now they also give you a nice antenna stick that's going to go over top of this to protect this, but this canopy doesn't have a hole in it like the other one. So if you want to have an antenna stick on this one, you might have to actually put a hole through the canopy. Now let's spin it around and show you the front. You can see that kind of cool bumper up front that they have here. It's fairly durable. This pieces right here, I was kind of concerned with. They might break off. And in all my tumbles and scratches and bumps and dents, scratched up a little bit, but they didn't break, so that's cool. So they located the on-off switch right in the middle, because that's okay. It gives it a little bit of extra security inside here. It's not too close to the edge where it's going to get hit by things. I wish it was a little more accessible, but it provides pretty good protection up there on that top rail. Now, all I do is I just release the 2 front pins and lift the top off and go in from the front there without having to take off all 4 pins every time I want to power it on and off. Now, to turn it on, you just simply turn on the transmitter here. You'll see these lights, these indicator lights here. It's going to let you know when the battery's low. Right now I have a green light for full and then a red light for on power. So I can go ahead, plug in the battery, and you don't want to leave this battery plugged in, by the way, even if the switch is off, because a good friend of mine told me that if you do that, it can burn up the ESC. He's seen it happen at races, so be careful about leaving this plugged in. Always unplug it after you're done driving. So now I can turn it on. And you can hear that built-in fan in the ESC there running. And now we should have power. You can kind of see that 4-wheel drive working there. So pretty nice. You can see that all the wheels are connected. So that's enough talk on the bench, you guys. Why don't we go outside and drive this guy, and I'll show you how awesome of a basher it is. See you outside.